The Ravens' defense just doesn't look the same anymore. That old fire, the one that made every quarterback nervous just lining up against them, seems to be gone. The pass rush has disappeared. Injuries keep piling up, and for the first time in a long time, this team looks lost for answers. But what if the future already has a name that could change all of that? In the latest mock draft, there's a new talent that could bring fear back to Baltimore's defense. Someone with the same kind of fire that wants to find the franchise. But before dreaming about that name, we need to understand how the Ravens got here and why this new face might be exactly what they've been waiting for. Remember when the Ravens' defense used to terrify everyone? When quarterbacks barely had time to breathe and every snap felt like a nightmare? Well, that version of the Ravens has vanished. Through 6 games this season, the team has managed just 3 sacks, numbers that would have been unthinkable for a defense once known for its pride and dominance. It's not just about production anymore. It's about identity. Quarterbacks have all day to throw, plays develop with no real resistance, and that trademark physicality that once defined Baltimore has faded away. This isn't just a slump. It's a full-blown defensive crisis. And here's the craziest part. The team's leader in quarterback hits this year is Odafe Oweh, who's not even on the team anymore. He got traded, yet still leads the Ravens with 5 QB hits. It's symbolic in a way. The guy doing the most damage is gone, and no one has stepped up to fill that void. Baltimore feels stuck between the memory of its glory days and the harsh reality of a defense that's lost its soul. While the offense keeps trying to carry the load, the defense continues to sink deeper, showing less and less of that old spark. And that imbalance isn't just hurting the present. It's forcing the front office to start thinking ahead, to ask the hard question, what has to change? That's where the story takes its next turn, because the injuries have only made a bad situation even worse. As if the lack of production wasn't already painful enough, the injuries have made things spiral. The little bit of stability this defense had completely fell apart when Tavius Robinson, the team's leader in sacks, broke his foot in Week 6 against the Rams. He was one of the few guys showing some real energy, some real edge. Now he's out for 6 to 8 weeks, and the Ravens just lost one of the few bright spots they had left. That kind of loss creates a domino effect. Without Robinson, the already weak pass rush becomes predictable, and opposing teams can easily pick apart Baltimore's front. It's a double blow. The Ravens lose both their top performer and the small bit of confidence that was holding the group together. Every Sunday now feels like another test of endurance, both physically and mentally, for a defense barely hanging on. And that pressure trickles down. The younger guys, like rookie Mike Green out of Marshall, are being asked to step up way too early. Baltimore drafted him in the 2nd round, hoping to develop a long-term solution. But so far, he's been quiet. It just shows how thin this group really is. Even when everyone's healthy, there's no real depth. And once injuries hit, the cracks become impossible to hide. That's why all eyes are slowly turning toward the future. With the defense collapsing and no short-term fix in sight, General Manager Eric DeCosta is already thinking ahead. If this team ends up with a top 5 pick in the 2026 draft, it might be time to rebuild the entire defense. Starting with what they've been missing the most, a true edge rusher. With things falling apart on defense and no one stepping up, the Ravens' best hope might be next year's draft. Eric DeCosta has always been one of the smartest GMs in the league, and he knows the window for fixing this problem is closing fast. If Baltimore keeps losing and lands a top 5 pick, everything changes. That's a chance to find a game changer, someone who can bring back the spark, the energy, the identity this defense used to have. This team was built on defense. That's the Ravens' DNA. Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, all drafted and molded into legends who made Baltimore one of the most feared franchises in football. But in recent years, that legacy has started to fade. Now, the 2026 draft might be the perfect moment to reignite it. This next pick could define the franchise's future. The Ravens need a new leader, someone who brings presence, intensity, and that old-school fear back to the field. Someone who makes opposing offenses hesitate, even before the snap. That kind of player might already be out there, waiting in next year's draft. And one name keeps popping up again and again, Miami's Ruben Bain Jr., the college football pass rushing machine everyone's talking about. His numbers are insane. His film is even better. And for a team like Baltimore, desperate to rediscover who they are on defense, Reuben Bain Jr. might just be the answer they've been waiting for.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Reuben Bain Jr. feels like he was building a lab for the Ravens defense. He's been tearing up offensive lines for Miami, and according to Pro Football Focus, he's been the best player in all of college football this season. At 6 feet 3 inches and 270 pounds, he's got the size, strength, and versatility every defensive coordinator craves. Bain can line up anywhere, hand in the dirt or standing up, and dominate both against the pass and the run. His stats are off the charts. A 92.8 pass rush grade, a 92.1 run defense grade, and a ridiculous 28.2% pass rush win rate. Think about that. He wins almost 1 out of every 3 rush attempts. That's game-changing. Through 5 games this year, he's already racked up 26 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, a pass breakup, a forced fumble, and even an interception. The guy does it all. But what really stands out isn't just the numbers. It's the energy. Bain plays with that fire, that edge, that same kind of presence the great Ravens defenders used to have. He makes everyone around him better just by being on the field. And that's exactly what Baltimore needs right now. Someone who can restore confidence and leadership to a defense that's lost its way. Sure, there's still plenty of football left this season, but if things stay the same and the Ravens do end up with a high pick, Bain could easily become the new face of the defense. And honestly, history says picking a Miami defender has worked out pretty well for Baltimore before. The Ravens' connection to the University of Miami runs deep. 2 of the greatest players in franchise history, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, came from the same program. They brought that same intensity, discipline, and fearless mindset that Bain shows every Saturday. It's almost impossible not to draw the comparison. Ray Lewis arrived in 1996 and changed the entire culture. Ed Reed followed a few years later and took it even higher. They didn't just dominate. They defined what it meant to be a Raven. And that's exactly what this team is looking for again. A player who inspires, who commands respect, and who brings that defensive DNA back to life. If Reuben Bain Jr. really does end up in Baltimore, it wouldn't just be another draft pick. It would be a statement. A chance to reconnect the present with the past and rebuild the identity that made this franchise great. There are still 11 games left this season, but the future is already starting to take shape. And if history repeats itself, looking back to Miami for another defensive cornerstone might be exactly what Baltimore needs to bring back the fear, respect, and power that once defined its defense. The current state of the Ravens makes one thing clear. Something has to change, and fast. The defense that once carried this franchise has lost its edge, caught between the weight of its own history and the urgency of a rebuild. But a player like Reuben Bain Jr. brings a glimmer of hope. He represents everything Baltimore has always stood for: strength, leadership, and the power to change a game in one snap. Now the question is, will the Ravens take that leap in the draft and rebuild their defensive soul around a new leader? This organization has always known how to recognize greatness, and every time they've nailed a pick like that, legends were born. Could Bain be the next name to wear purple and black and bring back that fear factor? One thing's for sure. If Baltimore wants to be feared again, that pick could be the start of an entirely new era.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.